Hello, everybody. My name's Pat Cole. I live 409 East James Street, second generation firefighter at number 3. Now that it's closed, we're here, which trying to make changes in Munhall. I just want to know what are you guys going to do with the building? You going to keep it in the borough? You going to get rid of it?
Pat, what, since this was a voluntary joining of 2 fire companies, number 3 and number 2, we appreciate that. Our expenses on maintaining 5 fire companies in Munhall is a lot of money.
Of course.
I'm not going to moan about the fire budget. Both Mr. Pletch, Chief Pletch and Chief Desarchik have done a fine job. Anytime we've asked them to pare expenses on their budget, they've done that. I think your budget's gone down 3 or 4 years in a row. You've done your part. But since you've joined and you're now housed at number 2, we've put money in the budget, $2,500, to have the building appraised. We no longer want to maintain a facility that we're not using. We don't want to just fill it up with junk. In fact, we just had a water break up there over the cold spell that cost us nearly $20,000 to clean up, albeit most of it was paid by our insurance company. We think that the borough would be served better by selling that building, maybe put some of the money into a capital reserve fund, and quite possibly giving you guys back some money to fix your fire station down here that you now share with number 2 fire.
That's all I would do. Thank you.
All right, appreciate that.
One item on the fire. I'm Len Cole, 409 East James Street. I can't even remember when I joined the fire. We're still waiting from the state to get our party. That's where it is right now. Mr. Dallas was here. We have all kinds of meetings for a year, bylaws. It's in the state hands right now. If they say no, we're back up at the station.
Well, we haven't taken action and we're waiting.
But that's what we're doing, Dan, right now. We're moving stuff out. We come out of here and we're waiting for the state. That's all I have, Dan. Thank you.
We're going to be moving on to our reports from borough officials.
Excuse me, I have a comment. I have to make a correction of something that was put into the public record, this information by Mr. Cannon. We never sought to acquire that property. It was offered to us. We offered to tear it down. That offer was declined. That was the extent of our interest in that property. Other than seeing it fixed up, not propped up, we're not confident that it's going to get fixed up. When the code enforcement officer admitted in front of everyone that he's going to pick and choose what he cares to enforce. Am I the only one that's afraid of that? Am I the only one that's fearful? You have just had the future of your town prognosticated for you.
Sir, you're out of order.
I'm done.
Thank you.
Dan, can I say something? I'm Sandy Marks. He should not be able to pick and choose who he gives and allows people to do stuff to do. He brought up something personal. That's personal. I have personal stuff to say about him.
Ma'am, you're out of order. We're done. We're moving on with the meeting. We're going to take reports from borough officials. Excuse me. Comments on agenda items. I apologize. Come to the podium, sir. Just trying to make that's all.
I just have a couple questions. Brian Smith, I'm a member of Munhall Government. I actually moved to Jefferson Hills.
So you're not a Munhall resident?
No, but I'm a volunteer fireman and a member of Munhall number 3. My parents are still residents here, and I think that I can speak for them when I ask you questions.
Speaking for your parents?
Yes. 2311 Londera Street, Munhall, PA 15120. Thank you. I just had a couple questions. The mayor mentioned that there was no money lost in this situation. I beg to differ. We lost hundreds of thousands of dollars of RAD money because of the audits that we shouldn't have to cover for. My first question, or my first comment. Second comment would be Mr. Kahn just brought up a great point about the parks.
Wait, is this on the
agenda item? Yeah, he spoke on it.
I was on the agenda item. He's looking at items, there are 5.
Okay, well then I'll get to the other one then. Motion to purchase a $150,000 bond for the borough treasurer in the amount of $930.
Correct.
What was in the budget for that? $200, correct?
I believe so.
So my question is, this bond, is this the same bond that was purchased previously for the borough manager?
No.
Because
This is a treasurer's bond.
there's been some things different out there that you guys at a meeting said there's no bond, and now a bond is surfaced. So I just want to know what is right, if there was one.
Let me explain that, and I'll stop the clock. We were not aware that Mr. Gala had a bond outside, that he may or may not have purchased outside of our normal insurance channels. Several months before that question arose, which came up at, I think, the January meeting, I had spoken to our insurance agent, Mr. Clare, as had Mr. Ballas, as had Mr. False, and he informed us that we had no treasurer's bond through the agency. We made the assumption that, in fact, there was no treasurer's bond. Well, apparently, Mr. Gallo went out and acquired a bond through another insurance agency for some unknown reason, and that's why, well, sure, it was through Borough's funds. It protects the borough. The bond doesn't protect him, it protects us in the event that he does something that's illegal. So that's why we answered that question. I think Mr. False, who's been getting taunted about lying about it, to the best of his knowledge, he didn't know and I didn't know because we had the best information.
You know, I guess Brian, I did. We expect when there's going to be a bond, it's going to be purchased through the borough insured.
Yeah.
That's the normal way.
That's the normal way to do it.
I guess that's my
And
question.
if it wasn't, we should have, been told off. Hey, I didn't get it through the borough insured this time. I got it, and then we would have.
No, I
That's
just,
why.
It should have been on file somewhere in the borough
And
office.
it should have been filed in the borough office, and we still have not found it. He presented one with a bunch of redactions.
yeah, no, I agree.
I would like to see it without the redactions.
Me too. My other question is just, why did we plan on $200 and now it's $930? I'm okay with it, but that's protection that, the other one that was presented was $35,000. I mean, is $150 enough,
Well,
given the situation?
there are different kinds of bonds. We also, in light of the circumstances that we had, increased our crime coverage from like $25,000 on a blanket.
Be positive from the
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
I think our coverage was inadequate as an administrative detail. I looked at the insurance. We increased our crime coverage on a blanket basis on all of our employees in the borough office to, I believe, $150,000. In addition to that, we named Harry the treasurer, which means Harry had to get a treasurer's bond. It's a different bond. And if we
Same
once-
function though, right?
Yes, but when we name a treasurer, the treasurer is excluded in the insurance policy covering the blanket. So it wouldn't have covered him. We now have a treasurer's bond in place in the amount of $250,000, and that's what the cost was. Very much in line. I think it was 4% of value, close to 4%.
So it makes sense.
Okay.
Makes sense. The other thing I'd like to say is, Mr. Brennan, I appreciate your ability to get up here and ask for openness with the community. That's something we, need to have, because there's a lot of people out here who have financial minds, have views about things. It can definitely aid this group. I myself work in grants every day. That's why I asked the question about the scope of work on that program, or the playground project. When you look at things, that's free money. You should never give free money away. That scope of work could have been adjusted to put new playgrounds somewhere else. It didn't have to be 12th Avenue. You guys can't give money away, and your new person, the borough manager, should have great experience, and you should be out there trying to get as much free money as you possibly can.
I think,
Lindsay was integral in working with those
Yeah.
grants. Go ahead, Lindsay.
That's the answer I wanted to.
Yeah, we worked with Steel Valley Cog, and it was through the county. We did transfer the money from the 19th Avenue to the 12th Avenue playground. They would not allow us. We did actually look at other playgrounds. We submitted a change. We were gonna put benches in. They would not allow it. Because it was bid. The reason why it was through the cog and through the Allegheny County, and it was rejected, and there is a paper trail, but the reason why is that they could not change because it was already bid, and the contractor was awarded.
Okay.
So, this council did, and
No, I
Dana
understand
Tillo
that.
led that effort, because she was the head of the Parks and Rec, or she was on the Parks and Recreation. We did everything we could, and it came down to the county and
I guess my point is, this isn't the first time I've seen this happen with grants. You know, the Safe Routes to School grant, how much money was associated with that? It should have been putting sidewalks out there to get these things all done.
We still have the money.
Yeah, but when's it done?
We don't have approval.
When's the contract end? When do you lose the money?
We lose the money, it has to be bid by the end of August.
By August. Okay, my question is that gonna happen? Because I'm gonna go on record to say we shouldn't lose that money as we have with other grants. That's the only thing I'm saying. We can't, as a community, we can't afford to pay for things that we can get for free. Thank you.
Nothing to pay, something in the PennDOT right away that isn't approved. I can't, we have to have the proper permits, and they have to approve to be in their funding. The engineering has to be done to their standards, for them. They're reimbursed for the engineering. So the overall cost to the borough.
One meeting, please.
This is going on for 44.5 years, almost 5 years.
And, everyone I've talked to that's done these grants through PennDOT said it takes forever. And we'd love to pour sidewalks with that money as bad as anybody. $70,000 expended and not one slab of sidewalk poured yet. That's how PennDOT does things. We don't control it.
There has to be a way to fix that, though.
Well, talk to your state legislator. Mr. Barker, what
Comment on the agenda items. I won't take
agenda
much.
item? We're
I'm trying to be positive, and I've lived here 56 years and 7 years, and there hasn't been a whole lot of good.
You're almost
over the
58.
years.
Where do you
I know.
live?
I live at 1151 Briar Lane, on the Munhall side. The West Mifflin takes care of all right. Just a couple of quick things. Mr. Klein has brought up, and if there's one thing this borough has neglected, is the war memorials in this town. We've always relied on other groups or charities. We spent, think about the money that's been spent on 12th Avenue Playground. We could have an absolutely wonderful war memorial. I work in a town, Menneson, and you can't imagine their city park in Menneson's a steel town.
That's right.
They got it done. Mr. Archer down. You go on top of the hill, it's like Upper St. Clair. Beautiful park, walking park. Their war memorial is unbelievable. And the key is it's all taken care of. And everything we've always spent money over the years of, we've never really done a very good job taking care of. The lights on Main Street. And I think that's what people would like. I'm going to keep it quick, okay?
You said you were going to be.
Okay, garbage bill oversight, that gentleman's 100% right. Everybody has to remember, the boys up there are all part of the Fetzko clan, and they're collecting the taxes downstairs, and the lawyer upstairs is filing the lien against their property.
Jim,
It is an agenda item, garbage bill, okay?
no, that was the comment.
The state of the borough. What is the borough going to do to recover the money that the taxpayers had to pay for the pensions when it wasn't our obligation because of the mismanagement? What is your goal to recover that funds?
You mean $168,000?
Yeah, that you guys had to pay that was supposed to be a payroll deduction.
Well, that's going to be a decision of council. My personal opinion is we're going to ask them to pay the money.
Okay, I'm just asking. And the other big issue that I know it's going to cost future generations maybe of this time is our workman's compensation. I think we need to disclose how many people have been on compensation, the lost time there's been. We now, from what I understand, we buy our insurance through the state, so we're paying a premium, and that's only going to cost us more as time goes on.
To the extent that we can disclose that.
Well, you don't have to. I'm saying there was a big problem, guys.
There is still a big problem.
That's right.
But in the first 30 days, we've contacted our insurer, and we're going to put in a light duty program to try to get this under control. That's what people do. I wanted to do it 2 years ago. Nobody wanted to do it. We're going to do it. We've already been in contact.
Now I'm going to say something real good. All the problems that everybody's been fighting here over the last several months, these aren't problems that, and this is in fairness because I sit and I listen to this little bit of heckling and we all do that. And everybody wants to blame Mr. Lloyd. Everybody wants to blame the people that are the majority. But everybody everybody better think about it. These things just didn't happen in the last 2 months. This is over the last 14 years in this time. Okay? I hope in the end we figure it all out so it never happens again.
Amen.
And make people accountable for what's going on. Because the taxpayers are the ones that are going to put the future bill here for the whole thing. Oh, okay, well, 911, last comment. Everybody knows I'm a proponent of the 911 system. And the lady, I really don't know her, but she talked about the phone call. And I think one of the problems, and I wish the 911 people here, is when you're talking on the phone and they're asking you all the questions, they've already pushed a button to send the police or the fire department or ambulance. Our EMS system is already part of the 911 system. And a good example of that, there was a couple incidents here, the shooting in Homestead, and there was just something happening when we had a council meeting. And they go, why did Homestead Police show up so fast? Well, when they took the 911 call, because that's what everybody called, they know they pushed the button and dispatched that, but they had to turn around and call Munhall, and the dispatcher Munhall had to call and dispatch Munhall. That's why Homestead showed up first. And I think they do that when they evaluate the severity of it. And the other thing with I had the fortunate experience of being in I was doing driver training in a Swissville fire truck, and Swissville's part of the 911 system. And Swissville sends their volunteers, and they actually have several paid firemen on duty in Swissville, believe it or not. Time smaller than Munhall. But they dispatch them to their EMS calls. And I was sitting in the passenger seat, and Ed, you've seen it, the computer screen sitting there. 911 has the capability to dispatch through the radio system. If the radio system goes down, they do it on the internet. And as an emergency happens, it all comes up on the screen. You know what equipment's coming, who's coming, if they've already been. That's great information. I was involved for years, and half the time you didn't know when anybody was going to show up because the sirens were blowing. I think we've shortchanged our community. That's it. I'm done.
Comment on agenda item, Mr. Bomby.
Dan Bomey, I am a Munhall resident. I do not want to give my address since I am a police officer.
I understand.
I'm also raising 5 children in this community. My daughter lives in this community. I have a grandson in this community. I've heard all the comments about how great 911 system is. Unfortunately, some of the faults that I see in 911 I cannot bring up. As a police officer, I can't divulge some of the calls I've been on. However, I will say a couple years ago, my daughter ran away. She was in Duquesne. We found out where she was. I called the 911 system. I was on the phone with them for 4 minutes while they took the information about where she was. I was listening to my radio. It took an additional 4 minutes to dispatch that call. It was 8 minutes. I keep hearing how they say they push a button immediately and that call is sent out. That is not true. There is a time delay in this, gentlemen. It will impact our families. It will impact our safety. I see it all the time. I don't know what you guys are going to do. However, I want you guys to realize that it's not what people are saying. It is not this great thing. It has wonderful technology. You saw it. That place is fantastic. I'll give it that. You walk in cars and it's like, wow, what is this hole? However, remember with technology, it does fail. We had a plumber come to our house and there was a camera we needed to use to snake the hole. The camera doesn't work, we're going to snake the hole. It's the same thing with technology. If that internet goes down, you can't dispatch me on that computer. If something else goes down, you can't dispatch me. Our radios down there will work every time. If the power goes down, our generator kicks in. So you have to also weigh the cons that are going with 911 because it's not the perfect system that everybody is trying to make it out to be. I have experienced it with my daughter, and I almost lost her that night because of an 8-minute time delay in them dispatching. With our dispatchers, I know how it works. I've dispatched them before. I call here and I tell our dispatchers if something's going on, I need them here right now. They start the dispatch process and then interview me. So the cars are coming before they even take the rest of the information. So it is time accurate with our dispatchers, and time is of the essence. If you are having a heart attack, that 5 minutes can be the difference between life and death. If your home is on fire, and I know this because I have been a fireman in this community for 20 years, I served as a borough chief in Munhall #1 for years. Minutes can be the difference between you having a home and you not having a home. And if you're being held up, or you being robbed, or someone has a gun to your head, that police car not being there for 3 to 4 minutes can be the difference between you going home and seeing your children at the end of that night. I do not want to risk that with my family. I want to go home. I want to see them. That's all I have to say.